importer from China of a pair of shoes that it brings into Nigeria at $20, by the time he gets the dollar at 1,000 naira to a dollar, then nobody will buy his shoes. If an Aba shoemaker will now sell it at 10,000 naira, now the Chinese must be forced to relocate his factory to Nigeria. It is the simple economics. Whether the infrastructure is there or not. Because if the Aba shoemaker can make it at 10,000 naira pair of shoes, the Chinese can even do it better. What we have to do in this country is to reform the banking and financial sector. Because the cost of money in this country is the highest in the world. And nobody can produce when you are going to borrow money at 25–30%. So that is another area this government is working assiduously day and night to ensure that we bring the cost of money to a single digit.
Okay.
Because in South Africa, it is 6%. In other countries like China, it's 0.5%. So why should our monetary policy rate be 11%? And then the banks will lend at 25–30%. So we have to bring down the cost of money. By the time we bring down the cost of money, the infrastructure problem will be solved, because so many people will borrow money, and some people will borrow money and deal with the infrastructure problem.
All right, thank you, Mr. Guara. Mr. Odibo, cheap money, and he says no manpower to fix these challenges. Do you agree with him?
Okay, before I answer your question, I need to take a couple of glean from what he said. You know, you can decide to be a hermit economy. You can.
An isolated economy.
Isolated economy. I mean, examples are around where
there are some countries that have done that,
and you can see, where they ended.
When I visited Sri Lanka in 1980, they had shut out importation. The newest cars in Sri Lanka were 20 years old. Those were the newest cars on the road. They had just insulated themselves and said, look, we're going to try and do as much as we can here.
Within ourselves, yeah. But however, to be a hermit economy most times is as a result of certain factors. One of the first laws of Isaac Newton is that a thing will remain in the position it is until an external factor hits it. South Africa was one, and was as a result of apartheid, and they pulled back and did a couple of things. Iran just came on out of sanctions that for the past how many years, as a result of sanctions, but you can see the breadth that they are having because the sanctions have been lifted. They are heading to the United Kingdom, to the World Trade, asking the world to come in. People are going to Iran instead of coming to your country, Nigeria, in spite of the issues and the challenges, because of perhaps the things they have put together. Now, I just want to say that you could want to do a hermit economy, but you must have certain things you want to pull as a leverage. You don't lock up all your windows. You will just die of asphyxiation. Now, I just thought that should be clear. Secondly, there have been a lot of documents for national development. Remember the 2020 document, right? That Nigeria will be one of the greatest economy by the year 2020. Vision 2020. Even when Abacha was around, there was a document. These were strategic documents, and that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. That every government that comes in must latch in. Where did you stop, sir? Let's continue from that.
No, would the political biases allow that latching on to?
And that is what precisely my presentation. Precisely, you cannot hold this nation bound as a result of political bias. We will pay you back in 4 or 3 years' time. That's the point I'm making.
But of course, the document itself should be one that is not arising from politics.
Absolutely.
It is one that is thinking about
Nigeria. You as a government, you as a political party, glean out of it for your manifesto. I can bet you, none of these guys will, during the political days, during the election, will have given you an economic document. That's what you're asking for it now. You should have asked for it before 2 elections. You are asking for it. What are you going to do if it doesn't give it to you? What will you do? You can't muster a recall. You can't muster anything. You just live with it. So we need to get to a place.
We impeach.
No, you can't even forget it. You can't even impeach. The gerrymanderers around our environment won't even allow you to do that. A lot of things will not start playing up. The point I'm making here is that we must move away. We must look at the political parties and look at government as platforms of national development. Listen, politics cannot be left in the hands of the politician. It is too important to be left in the hands of politicians. And the point I'm making here is that for every government, they always tell you want to do reform. Jonathan was a reform person, kept saying it throughout until he got out of power. Is it Yar'Adua? Is it Obasanjo? They came to reform. What reform has been done in the power sector? What reform has been done? Do you know the pension fund? Do you know the national health insurance? Do you know the only reform that was not particularly built on, was surpassed, was PIB? That is why the Minister for State in Oil is self-help. He needs to recalibrate the place. He just needs to do something. And the National Assembly is saying, look, that's an ambush on the PIB. But if the PIB had been passed, they
have now said he was well within his rights.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's well within his right. But if the PIB had been passed, he will have a working document to have worked on. That's the point I'm making here. So the point I'm making here is that we need to find a place where the reform is for Nigerians and not for the government. You cannot run, in those days in church, we said, we don't want to run a good ministry, we want to run a good church. You can have a system that is working in the ministry. Meanwhile, the people in the church are not benefiting. And we need and it's called inclusive governance and government. So my take here is that, and by the way, this is not a referendum on how many months has he been the president. No, I'm talking about generally whoever comes to take the reign of power. There must be a place where the people must hold you accountable. A certain period we begin to engage, because you don't have the whole time in the world. This is not Zimbabwe, where you will be there till 92 and say they'll put you in a wheelbarrow when you're okay. No, that's not the point. The point here is that what is it that within this time frame you have, you're able to change the sing song in the lips and in the hearts of Nigerians. Let our captivity be turned around and let there be laughter in our hearts, in our season and in our time. And it is possible.
Okay. Mr. Mabwara, we have to wind up now. And in your closing statement, I want you to also include the issue of our foreign reserve, our falling foreign reserve.
Yes. Anyway, you know that we can't print dollars. So if you put pressure on the foreign reserve, it will go down. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, when it goes down, what does that mean for us? What does that mean for us?
Yes.
When it goes down, what does that mean for us? When it goes
down, you get to the level you can. When it goes down, you get to the level you can't import. It goes to the level you have to ask for bailout from IMF and the World Bank and so. And then they will come with their conditionalities. So, but that's not the issue that preoccupies me now. Let me tell you. The young man over there was saying that we can't shut our borders. I will tell him, let him, whether he likes it or not, no economy has developed without shutting down his borders. I practiced this profession since 1982. And let him point to me that country that has made it without closing its borders. You see, I heard these comparisons that are not based on basic histories, on basic realities. Nigeria must find one word on another to ensure that imports are restricted so that we do these things locally. So that's what I want to say. And we're going to do that. People can be as impatient as they are, and I will assure you in the next 5 years we won't recognize Nigeria. Because the issue of leadership has been addressed. What we need to do now is that every step we take, we consolidate it. And we make it in the interest of Nigerians. I'm not here to speak grammar. People can speak grammar, neoliberal economics, and all those things. I pass that level of talking. Right now, I will assure you, give us the next 5 years, you will see that you will be shocked what Nigeria will become.
Okay.
We don't need anybody to educate us on economics. We know this is the economy. And anybody who is giving you any other story, tell the person that he doesn't know what he's talking about. Thank you.
Thank you. Your final word, Mr. Odibo.
What I take here is that people should stop putting words into everybody's mouth. This is not a referendum on anybody. We are looking at and that there's no monopoly of knowledge. let's open up our thoughts and I'm thinking. My take here is that there are reforms. Reform is a continuum, okay? And you could take them and work and act on them. You could create a place where you don't want a situation where your local market is under pressure by imports. But however, it has to be done in such a manner that it will be a case of selective adjustment. What I mean by that is that it will be a lot easier and better for people to take on things that are local. It will become a people thing. And let me close by saying this. Change has to be predicated on changed minds. Change has to be done by minds that are changed. If you don't have a mindset that is changed, it will not work in the manner that you want it to work. So what I encourage governments to do is to get Nigerians to be part of this change. You cannot bring change if the minds of the people are not changing. And I'm sure the president has passed this route before. Okay. I've said this several times. If the people take on these responsibilities and they buy into it, then the things that you're looking in Sokoto will be in your Sokoto. Okay,
thank you very much. We have been chatting with an economist who spoke to us from Abuja, Mr. Odilem Enwegbara. Thank you very much. As well as a business
consultant and policy analyst, yes.
Business consultant and policy analyst, Mr. Pascal Odibo. Thank you very much for coming to share your insights with us.
Thank you.
Sunrise will be right back with the home stretch in just a moment. See you then.